The webinar is on empowering learners with learning to learn techniques. Claire Steele and Sarah Smith have worked in language teaching, teacher training, and teacher development globally in a variety of contexts. They co-founded and are directors of Eltonics, which is an online teacher development and mentoring service for teachers and schools. At Eltonics, teacher and student voices are prioritized to develop classroom teaching and learning. Claire has worked in EFL, ESL as a teacher, trainer, manager, and consultant worldwide, but mainly in the UK, Australia, Colombia, and Greece, and is now based in Portugal. Claire is interested in fostering creativity and critical thinking in the classroom, reflective practice, and adapting materials to create a more dynamic and engaging learning experience. Claire supports inclusive classroom practices for all teachers and students. Sarah has worked as a teacher, trainer, manager, and mentor in Senegal, Japan, Ecuador, Turkey, Thailand, and France, and is now based in Greece. Her areas of interest are teaching creativity, holistic child development, and encouraging a sense of progress through learning to learn techniques. She is an advocate for inclusive classroom practices which provide a safe learning environment for all teachers and students. Take it away, Claire and Sarah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. We sound really good, don't we, Sarah?
We do, yeah. Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to the British Council India for inviting us again. It's such a pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. Just quickly in the chat, just say hi and maybe type in which part of India are you channeling in from? We'd love to know. Kerala, beautiful in the south.
See Hyderabad, Gujarat, oh, Varanasi.
Oh, look, wow. Look, we're traveling all over India.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely. And perhaps beyond as well. Lovely.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We will be asking you to use the chat box, so please do participate and help us out in the webinar. Thank you so much. Okay, so should we start, Sarah?
Yeah, let's go for it. What are we doing today, Claire?
We are looking at empowering learners with learning to learn techniques. Okay, so everybody needs to put their seatbelt on. We're going on a flight. Everybody click in and let's have a look at our first learning aim. Okay. Oh, we've got a word missing, Sarah.
Okay.
A word missing. Do you reckon you and the participants can help us out?
Yes. So participants, help me out. Write in the chat box, or if you're on Facebook, in the comments, what do you think the first missing word is? Any ideas? Yes.
Yeah, learning.
Super.
Understand
Absolutely.
what learning to learn means and why it's important. Then we've got participate in a demo lesson, a demonstration lesson, and reflect on the and strategies. This is what learning to learn is all about. We've got classroom coming in, not quite. Code, not, it's cog.
I think it's cognitive.
Yeah, we've got cognitive. Yeah. And what's the next one, Sarah?
It's got to be metacognitive.
Yeah, super. And we've got metacognitive coming through in the chat as well. Super. Okay, so after we've participated in this demo, we're going to explore the importance of three things. Sharing. This is at the beginning of the lessons. What do we share with our students?
These are like objectives, right, Claire?
Super. We've got aims coming in.
Yes. Lovely.
And we also want to share success criteria coming in.
Wonderful.
And this is really important.
We got it. Reflection.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Sarah, let's see what we know here. We've got our confidence thermometer here. Okay, so looking at all of these learning objectives together, participants in the chat, can you write yellow if you've still got quite a bit to learn about this? We'll place pink in the chat if you've got kind of half of it, but you've still got a few gaps that you'd like to learn more about. And then type in white if you know this and you can teach this to someone else. All right,
quite a few yellows. Yeah, some pinks. Okay. That's okay. So Claire,
yes,
what are we going to do first?
We're going to understand what learning to learn means and why it's important. So let's have a look, Sarah. What do you know about learning to learn? We've got this KWLH chart here. You know what KWLH stands for?
I think it's no. So what I know about learning to learn, what I want to know.
Perfect.
And then at the end, I learnt from this session. Hopefully we learned something. And H, is that how I learnt?
Exactly. Okay, so we can't do L and H yet, but we can do what you know about learning to learn and what you'd like to know about learning to know, what you want to know. So what do you know about learning to learn, Sarah?
I know that it's something that younger students especially need. So it's very important for sort of younger learners.
Super.
Young students, so in primary, secondary school.
Good.
Okay. I know it's something to do with metacognition.
Good.
And
we'll talk about that soon. Yeah.
I'm not sure it's in our student materials. I think it's something that maybe teachers have to add in some way.
Excellent.
Okay.
And what I want to know.
I think how to teach these learning to learn strategies. What are they? And how do I teach like this?
Super.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So let's hope. You're mute, Claire.
Someone muted me. They obviously had enough of me, Sarah. You carry on.
All right.
All right. So let's have a look. In order to develop an awareness of learning and learner responsibility, learning to learn should be built into the curriculum in an explicit and systematic way. And this is a quote from Gail Ellis. All right. So let's find out a little bit more about learning to learn strategies.
Okay.
Here is a text that gives a definition of these, but as you can see, Sarah, some of these words are all mixed up and I need your help.
Okay.
All right. So let's start. Learning strategies are...
Participants, help me out again in Facebook comments or in the chat box. We've got techniques.
Super.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good.
And
efforts.
Yeah, super.
Yes.
Okay.
Got a few people saying efforts.
So learning strategies, are techniques and efforts which a learner may...
Oh, we've got use. A few people are saying use. Good.
To acquire what?
This is a easy one, I think. This one's knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It is useful to recognize the existence of two major groups of learning strategies. Metacognitive, which is used to something learning.
We got no words coming through here, so I think I'm on my own. Loretta says regulate and Kritika says regulate as well.
Super.
Okay.
Right. So metacognitive, which is used to regulate learning, and cognitive, which are task specific. And we'll look at these two in much more detail in a second.
Okay.
Okay. Amelia, have shown that by combining the two, learners can
We've got reflect coming in.
reflect on what they are doing and why, and become
Lots of become aware.
Of how they
Learn.
Super. Excellent. Okay. They applied this scheme to language learning and added further categories.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I think I've got this.
Okay, good.
Different.
Let's take a closer look. Okay.
Okay.
We've got these 4 strategies here at the bottom of the screen. We've got cognitive strategies, metacognitive strategies, socio-affective strategies, and communication strategies. So I'm going to read out a definition of each one. And Sarah, can you and the participants match?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try the first one.
All right. So this involves students doing things with the language and their learning materials and relate to skills, reading, writing, listening, speaking. What's that one?
Well, you said that it was task specific.
Exactly.
Okay, cognitive strategies. I think it must be this because they're task specific, something that we might do as we learn language or we develop our language skills, right?
A specific task that's done. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's have a look at this one. This is used by students to involve themselves in group activities in order to interact with others and expose themselves to language input. What do we think that one is?
We've got a lot of socio-affective coming in the chat, but because we've got interaction here,
yeah, that's the key
in
word.
groups and language input, that's got to be communication strategies. But I guess there's quite an overlap between some of these.
That's true, there is, particularly those two. Okay, let's have a look at this one. This is used to negotiate meaning and assist learning and give students practice in managing their learning, building confidence and allowing for self and peer direction. So we've got the self and peer direction.
Yeah, I think you've got socio-affective here because it's also to do with confidence, the
That's
ability
right.
to learn if you feel that you're in the right situation to learn.
Perfect.
Okay.
And of course, the last one is metacognitive strategies. And this involves students thinking about their learning through planning, monitoring, and reflecting.
Okay. And today, Claire, we'll be focusing mostly on cognitive and metacognitive strategies, right?
Exactly. So let's take a look at these in more detail. We've got 2 columns here, cognitive, metacognitive strategies, okay? And I'm going to show you, Sarah, some typical activities that we do in the classroom with our students, okay?
Okay.
And you, with the help of the participants, of course, need to put them in the correct column. So if you think it's cognitive, you can type C. And if you think it's metacognitive, you can type M.
Okay.
All right. Let's have a look at the first one. Students create a piece of art.
Well, that's a task with an outcome. So I guess that's cognitive.
Exactly. Super. Well done. All right. Let's have a look at the next one. Students develop their fluency skills by focusing on hesitancy features. What's hesitancy features, Sarah?
Well, let me think.
Exactly.
I'm not so sure about this.
Yeah. Exactly, those ones. Exactly.
Yeah, all those phrases that give you thinking time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's a difficult one. Let me think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is task specific. So I think it's cognitive. They're learning a specific language point and they're developing speaking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Good. All right. Let's have a look at the next one. Now, students reflect on how they answered a question and what they need to do next. So reflect on how they answered a question.
The key word here, I guess, is reflect, to reflect on something that we have done. So that to me would be metacognitive.
Super. Yeah. All right, let's have a look at the next one. Students use the present perfect to complete a practice task. There we go, our favorite structure.
This I think is cognitive.
It is.
Because there's a clear outcome, there's a learning outcome. They're learning language here.
Excellent. Super. All right, students decide who will be responsible for what in a group activity. So it's that group thing going on. What's that?
Again, they're planning what they're going to be doing and how they're going to do it, focusing on the process of learning rather than the product.
And working together, yeah, super.
And working together, yeah. So metacognitive.
Excellent. Okay. And students decide what they want to focus on next.
So for this, they've got to reflect on what they've done and then where they're going. So this has to be metacognitive. Exactly.
Yeah. And the next one, students plan how they will research a question set by the teacher. We've got that verb plan again, Sarah, haven't we?
They plan before they do something. So I guess metacognitive once again. How am I going to achieve this task?
Super. And the next one, students write a poem.
Lovely.
Yeah.
This is cognitive. They're doing something with the language they've got a task to achieve.
Yep, super. And thank you for the participants for joining in as well. And students solve a problem by sharing information in a speaking task.
Again, yes. So solving a problem, it's cognitive, isn't it?
Exactly. And you've got that task that they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Students match vocabulary to definitions.
Very common thing we do in the language classroom. This again, cognitive. They're doing something with the language. They're learning the language.
And students reflect on what they found difficult. So we've got that verb reflect again.
Metacognitive. What did I do? What didn't I get right?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then students share their answers with a partner.
This to me is metacognitive again. To see how well they did. Maybe there's a bit of peer teaching going on there.
Yeah, nice. And students listen for gist.
The general understanding of a text. Again, this must be cognitive. And let's see if we are right. Here they are.
Oh, okay.
Good. And we can see here in blue, right, Claire, that the kind of keywords connected to metacognition, which we're going to explore during this session. Responsibility, where we're going next, reflecting on what we've done, and so on.
Excellent.
Okay.
Super.
So, Claire, question for you then. Why is learning to learn, in other words, these metacognition skills, why is it so important?
Okay, good question. Well, basically, it underpins all learning, doesn't it? All that process. It promotes learner autonomy. So students take responsibility for their learning. It helps value diversity as we recognise all students develop in different ways at different rates.
That's super important. That's something that we explored in the previous webinar as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And learning to learn strategies can be applied to other subjects and outside the classroom. It's not just to English language teaching. And finally, I think we've got that beautiful Confucius saying that we all know and love. Give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you've fed him for a lifetime. I think that connects really well.
Yeah, so these learning to learn techniques have actually been around for a very long time, right?
Exactly.
We just sometimes don't know that we're doing them. Yeah. All right. So, Claire, what have we done so far then?
So we've understood what learning to learn means and why it's important. So looking at the confidence thermometer now, just looking at that specific learning aim there, where are you now? Yellow, still got quite a few gaps and I need to learn much more. Pink, I'm getting there. maybe need to revise a bit, watch this video again, but I'm getting there. And white, I've got it. I can teach it to somebody else. Got
Okay.
lots of pinks coming through, Sarah.
Ah,
That's good.
lovely. Okay, so what are we going to do next?
This is my favorite bit. We're going to participate in a demo lesson and reflect on cognitive and metacognitive strategies.
Okay, right then. So Claire,
Yeah.
you're going to take part in a demonstration lesson as a student, okay? And the
Super.
participants on Facebook and here with us in Zoom can also use the chat or the comment to be students as well. But the important thing to know is that you are 10 years old, all right?
Excellent, no problem. I can do that very easily.
Okay. So you're going to take part in my plan, do, review lesson. We'll talk a little bit more about this at the end.
Okay.
As a 10-year-old student, but as a teacher, and the participants can do this as well, I want you to think about the following. During the lesson, what cognitive strategies do the students develop? So think of this as your target language, the language that I'm teaching, any skills development, reading, writing, listening, speaking, okay? And also, what metacognitive strategies do the students develop? So think about how students are encouraged to plan tasks, how they're encouraged to reflect on tasks, and so on. So just to check, you and the participants, are you students or teachers right now?
We're students.
Good. How old are you?
10.
Okay, but with your teacher hat on, what 2 things do you need to think about?
Which cognitive strategies the students develop? So what did we learn in terms of this 4 skills and target language?
Good.
And metacognitive strategies. So how were we encouraged to plan and reflect?
Okay, good. Are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah.
Let's go then. All right, Claire.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, teacher.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Good. Claire, who do you see here? Who's this?
He's a chef.
What does a chef do?
He cooks yummy food.
Exactly. So today our lesson is about food. Okay. Now the chef has a menu here. Do you see the menu?
Yes.
Good. How many points are on the menu?
5 points.
Right. But Claire, they're not in the right order. Help me put them in order. Okay. What do you think we will do first today?
Okay. We will read our friend's recipe. We will write a recipe. We will look at a recipe. We will talk about cooking. I think we'll talk about cooking first. Yeah.
Very good. We will talk about cooking. That's the first thing. What will we do after that? What's the second thing?
I think we'll learn some verbs for cooking.
Okay. Do you know any verbs?
Yes.
For cooking, Claire, you do?
Yeah.
Which one do you know? Which verbs do you know?
Fry.
Very nice. Okay. What about the third one?
We will write, we will look, we will read. We will look at a recipe first.
Aha, for dal. Do you know what dal is?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. And then what?
And then we'll probably write and then read each other's.
Okay, good. Let's check to see if you got these in the right order. Okay, Claire. All right then. So before we start, Claire, think about you and cooking. Okay. Which sentence describes you, Claire? I know how to cook very well. I can cook some things, or I don't know how to cook yet.
I think I know how to cook very well.
Aha. So how many saucepans will you color or frying pans?
3.
Okay, let's color these in. Well done, Claire. Fantastic. All right.
Beautiful coloring.
Think now. Okay, you told me you know the word fry. Okay,
yes.
Let's think about your vocabulary. I already know a lot of words about cooking. I know some words about cooking and need some help, or I don't know many words about cooking yet. Which one?
I think I know some words.
Okay, so how many pans will you colour?
2.
All right. Well done, Claire. All right then. So look at the photo. What are the children doing?
They're cooking.
What do you think they're making?
I think they're making pancakes.
Uh-huh. Oh, pancakes, huh? Okay. Do you like pancakes?
I love pancakes.
Yeah, me too. And Claire, what can you make?
I can make pancakes with my
You
mum.
can.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I
Anything else?
make cakes with my mum.
Good. Very
And,
good.
and I can boil rice.
You can boil rice as well. Fantastic. Well done, Claire. All right. Well, do you know what this is?
Help me out in the chat, guys. What's this? Dal.
Fantastic. It's dal. Yeah. And do you know where dal comes from? Where this dish comes from?
It comes from India or Sri Lanka. Oh, India.
India. Yeah, absolutely right. Okay. Now, this is a map of India here. Okay. Claire, have you been to India?
I have.
Where did you go?
I went to the south, Kerala and Tamil Nadu.
Aha. All right then. Did you eat dal when you were in India?
Yes.
Did you eat other foods as well?
Yeah, I ate everything. I loved it.
You did. Fantastic. All right then. Okay. Now, to know how to make something, okay, Claire, first of all, we need what you see here?
Vegetables.
Okay. These are the things that we put inside a dish. What do we call them? Do you know?
Ingredients. Thank you, participants.
Super. All right. We also need to know how much to put in. Yeah. Do you know what we call this?
Quantity. Thank you,
Very
participants.
good. Yeah, good. And then we need to know how to make it, right? The steps to make it. Do you know what we call this?
Recipe. Method.
We can say recipe, and we also need to know the method, right? We can say the method. So tell me then, with you and your friends, if the word is an ingredient, a quantity, or it's connected to the method. What about this? Kilograms.
What is it, guys? That is quantity.
Super. All right. What about tomatoes?
Tomato ingredients.
Very good. What about sprinkle?
Ooh, method. We've got method coming through.
Spoons of.
Spoons of. We got quantities.
Good. Onions.
Ingredients.
Very good. Chop.
Chop. Method.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. Add.
Method.
Super. Fry. You know this one.
Yeah, method.
Yeah, very good. Cups of.
Cups of. Help me out, guys. Cups of.
This
is quantities.
Very good. Very good. All right, then pulses.
That's ingredients.
Lovely. Grams.
Grams is quantities.
Very good. Spices.
Ingredients.
Yeah. Good. Ghee.
Ghee is ingredients.
Very good. What about this one? To fold in.
Fold in. Everybody's saying method.
Good. Bake.
Bake. Everyone's saying method.
Good. Pour.
Pour. We think method as well.
Good. And last one, Claire, mix.
It's got to be an M. It's got to be method.
Yeah, very good. And now, Claire, tell me, what kind of words are these? Do you know?
They are doing words.
They're doing words, right? So let's look at some doing words, okay, that we could use when we cook something, not just dal, but many other things, okay? So what do you think is in this photo here. What's the verb?
Add. Thank you,
Super.
guys.
Well done. What about this one?
What's this?
What are the children doing? Very good. This one here?
Fold in.
Very good. Lovely. This one?
Pour, because it's liquid.
It's liquid. Yeah. So we add some ingredients, but we pour in water, liquid, and so on. What about this one here?
This is sprinkle.
Yeah, we might sprinkle some salt on the top. Yeah, good. And this one?
Bake. I know
this is what
this
you
one.
do with your mum, right,
Yeah,
Claire?
I bake my mum.
Lovely. All right, all right. Yeah, you don't bake your mum, but you bake with your mum. Okay. Claire, close your eyes for me.
Okay.
All right, then. Open them. What's missing?
Oh, help me. Mix.
Very good. Yeah. Close your eyes. Open them. What's missing?
Pour.
Very good. All right, close them. Open them. What's missing?
Sprinkle.
Very good. Well done, Claire. Okay. So let's ask the chef again. What did we do already?
We talked about cooking.
Very good. What else did we do?
We learned a recipe and we learn verbs.
Good. So what are we going to do next?
Write a recipe for a great English teacher.
Absolutely right. Now you're going to make the best English teacher ever. Okay, Claire? The best English teacher, even better than me. All right? Yeah. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you my recipe or my method to make the best teacher ever. Do you want to see it?
Yes.
You do? Fantastic. So we've got here.
Gram.
What are
The
these?
quantities.
Good. And these are the
ingredients.
Lovely. Okay. And here I have to write my method. Okay. So
Mhm.
I've got 500 grams of kindness, 2 kilograms of interesting activities, 750 grams of fairness, 1 kilogram of help, 400 grams of stories, of course, and 200 grams of songs. Claire, do you like my ingredients?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Yeah.
What did I miss?
Fun.
I did, right? Good. And what verbs do you see in the method?
Mix, pour, add, fold in, bake.
Very good. Very good. Very good. All right. Now that's my recipe. What about yours? Okay. What about yours? Do you want me to give you some ingredients, Claire, to help you? Or can you think of your own ingredients with the participants?
We're going to think of our own participants.
Okay.
So great English teacher. What do we want to put there as an ingredient? Can you write in the chat? Fun. Someone agrees fun is definitely there. Yes. Love. Friendly. Nice. Empathy, patience, supportive, cooperative. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go for 200 grams of fun. Okay. A kilogram of patience. Yeah.
Okay.
50 grams of energy. No, 500 grams of energy.
Okay, okay.
20 grams of drawing, because I like art. And 20 grams of interesting pictures, because they help me learn.
Very good.
And 600 grams of trust.
Very nice ideas. Lovely. Okay, Claire. And then how are you going to actually make your teacher? What's the method?
I'm going to mix 200 grams of energy and a kilogram of patience in a big bowl together. Okay. Then I'm going to add 500 grams of energy and mix to make the energy.
Very, very nice. Yes.
And then I'm going to fold in 20 grams of drawing and 20 grams of interesting pictures.
Good.
And then I'm going to bake in the oven for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to, when it's ready, I'm going to sprinkle 600 grams of trust on top.
Sounds absolutely delicious, Claire. So well done to you and your friends for doing this. Did you enjoy writing your recipe?
Loved it.
Fantastic. Okay, well done. So, Claire, what did you do today with your friends?
I learned some verbs and I wrote a recipe.
Good. What did you learn? You said verbs. Which specific verbs do you remember?
Fold in, sprinkle, pour, mix, add.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And how did you learn, Claire? What helped you learn all of these things?
I worked with my peers. They helped me, my friends helped me, and I planned what I was going to write. Yeah, and pictures helped me learn. Pictures of the verbs helped me remember them.
Great. Okay, Claire. So let's think now. How well did you do? All right. Do you think excellent? Think good? Or I must work harder?
I think good.
Okay, so how
Everybody
many pans
says excellent though.
They're very kind. Okay, so how many pans will you color in, Claire?
For me, good, two.
Okay, you're going to color in 2 pans for good.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you choose good, Claire?
Because I made some spelling mistakes.
Ah, right. Okay. Okay. So what do you need to do next, do you think?
I think I need to practice my spelling.
How will you do it?
I get my mum to help me.
Okay. Now, Claire, the next step is to share. So can you show your mum your recipe for your ideal English teacher? And can you maybe write a new recipe together? For example, my ideal brother, my ideal dog, my ideal friend. Do you think you can do that for next time?
Yeah. My ideal dog. Yeah.
Your ideal dog. All right then, Claire. All right. Now you were the easiest 10-year-old I've ever taught, Claire. Well done. Okay.
I behaved well, didn't I?
You did behave very well, yeah. Now that was a lesson that I've done with students before, and I just want you to now reflect as a teacher, both you and the participants, what cognitive strategies were developed in that lesson? Again, think of the target language, think of any skills development. What was going on there?
Yeah, what do we think? Participants, what was the actual skills and target language I learnt? So I think definitely the verbs for cooking, and we did some writing, we did some reading as well.
Yeah, so you've got as well the verbs, the imperative form, but I don't tell you this as a child. Yeah, quantities, methods, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What now about the metacognitive strategies? What do you think you developed there as a student?
Well, first we looked at the aims, didn't we? And I had to put the aims in order.
Yeah. So sharing aims with your students and then getting them to reflect on those aims during the lesson. Good.
Yes. And then you encouraged me to help get the participants to help. Yeah.
Good. And of course, if there were many of you working together, then you would give up roles, right? Who's going to write the recipe? Who's going to maybe give the quantities? Who's going to give the ingredients and so on? Good.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely thought about, I had to colour in whether I was good, excellent. And then I had to think about what I was going to do next to get a bit better, to improve.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just about looking back, but then also looking forward as well, right? And as I said to you, the lesson itself follows a plan, do, review structure. In other words, students plan an activity. So everything you did before writing the recipe was the planning stage, right?
Yeah.
Talking about cooking, thinking about how good you are at cooking,
Yeah.
learning words to do with cooking. And of course, depending on the level of my students, I would teach maybe different vocabulary depending on their level. The doing is the actual task, the actual
Yep.
writing of the recipe. And then the reviewing, you could be reviewing each other's recipes. You're looking at your own recipe. Again, as you said, reflecting on next steps as well. All
Yep.
right. So what did we just do then?
We participated in a demo lesson and kind of reflected on those cognitive and metacognitive strategies.
Good.
So
Okay.
the last thing we're going to look at is exploring 3 really important things: the importance of sharing aims, the importance of negotiating success criteria, and the importance of reflection.
Okay.
So let's start with sharing aims. One of the learning to learn strategies was to get students actively engaged with the learning objectives, like I did with the menu. So lesson aims or objectives are shared with students should focus on the context, the tasks, and life skills. Let's take a look at what I mean here, okay? So here's what we could do. We could play with the written aims here. And you can see here, for each learning objective, you can hide a word or jumble the words like we've done in this webinar, or leave out a word, and students have to fix the learning aim. So they're engaging with the aims of the lesson. Which level student or which age group would this be appropriate for, Sarah?
Well, you've got full sentences, so it would have to be at least upper primary or secondary level, right? But then depending on how much you simplify the language, it could be done with younger learners as well.
Absolutely,
Also,
yeah, it can be adapted. Yeah, exactly. Here's another idea. You can have these either words or pictures to make links. So you show students some words, like at the top, suspense, blisters, holes, or pictures like at the bottom here. And we've got the little girl and the forest and the wolf that represent the aims of your lesson, and get the students to find links between them. And we use these to get the students thinking about the relationships between them, and then we can then introduce them to the full learning aims. Which level here, or which age group, I should say, Sarah?
Again, I think adaptable. In the first example, it looks like something connected to a science topic. So that would you would need the students to have some knowledge of this before, some world knowledge or life knowledge. So maybe secondary school students, teenagers. But the ones underneath with the pictures is from a fairy tale, isn't it? So that again, with even students maybe in kindergarten, what's the connection between these? You could start them thinking about connections there as well. So again, adaptable, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And here's another way, it's inquiry time. So give students the general topic of the lesson. For example, it could be recycling. Okay, that's what we're talking about in class. And we give some dice, these Kagan dice here, they have words on them. You can see here and here. Or they could be cards if you don't have the question words written on cards. And they roll the dice or choose a card and come up with questions about the lesson topic. And they can display these questions in the classroom. What questions could they be? For example, if we got topic recycling, what would if we got the question word how, what could that?
How do I recycle plastics in my area, for example?
Yeah, exactly.
Or how does recycling positively impact on the state of the environment?
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the lesson, the students can go back to these original questions to see if they've been answered in the lesson. If not, students can research the answers at home and tell the class what they learned the following week.
I like this because it generates a kind of homework task as well,
It does,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
very
all on the student.
student-centered.
Exactly.
Lovely.
Yep. Okay. So top tips for sharing aims. Change the way you share aims regularly to keep students engaged. Use student-friendly language so they can follow and engage and give their answers. And if possible, keep lesson aims visible during the lesson and return to them throughout the lesson, after tasks, or even at the end of the lesson as well.
Okay.
All right, the second super important strategy is negotiating success criteria. And studies have shown that when children assess themselves against criteria that they have set, they become more engaged and motivated. What's not to love about that? That's what we love. So setting your own objectives for your class has some effect on engagement or achievement, but the opposite is true of negotiating success criteria, because students become extremely engaged. And this can be done with different age groups. Let's have a look. Right, so I'm going to show you some ideas for negotiating success criteria with some tasks. Okay, Sarah? And let's see how we can negotiate success criteria with our students for each one. So let's have a look at the first one. We've got a class of 6-year-olds, and the task is to make a fluffy sheep character on a stick. Just
I
loving
love
this.
things like this. Yeah. Okay. All
How
right.
could
Well,
you negotiate?
I guess you can tell the students what the task is, what they're going to be doing, perhaps in their L1, as they're only 6 years old. And you could be making the sheep, first of all, yourself, and the students are watching you do this. And perhaps you could ask them things like, do we want it to be all white, or do we make it colorful? Do we want to add glitter, or do we want to leave it plain? Or do I have to hold my scissors carefully when I cut?
Exactly.
Yes. Do I hold the glue stick like this or like this? So you're kind of, as you go along, establishing what those success criteria might be.
Excellent. Super. Okay. Let's have a look at the task for 9-year-olds. Okay. They have to make a friendship tree poster in groups, and you can see an example there. On each leaf, they write, a friend is someone who, okay. So what would be the success criteria, and how would you negotiate that with your students?
Well, you could ask students some questions like, do you think that each leaf should be a different color? And if they say yes, then they need to include different colors per leaf. It could be, do we write a full sentence, or just a short idea on each leaf, and whatever they say forms part of the success criteria? Do we write one idea or more than one idea on each leaf? Do we have to use specific vocabulary?
Nice.
So in that way, they build up what they think the tree should include, and that's how you evaluate the success of it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Oh, what's this? So this is for 12-year-olds. We've got across the top, who am I? And students write an acrostic poem to introduce themselves. What's an acrostic poem, Sarah?
It's where you've got these, each line starts with a letter which spells out something. Could be your name, right? Or it could be a sentence like the question like this, who am I? And then you've got to write something on each line that begins with this letter. I really like these things.
In the topic of that line at the top. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we've got this little poem happening, coming down, right? So how would we negotiate success criteria with our students for this?
Well, maybe you could ask them how long each line should be. So you can see that this one has got a shape, but maybe the students might say they should all be the same length. Perhaps it could be what type of word goes in each line. We can see there's an adjective, but maybe they want to choose full sentences, perhaps. They could be talking specifically about the content. You know, you've got to say something that you like in the first line, something that you don't like in the second line.
Nice.
So they can decide what those creative constraints are.
Super. So it's completely engaging the students the whole time.
Yeah. And we can do this with our books as well, right, Claire? So I've got here some examples from the course book Marigold 5, okay? And in this one, we've got a short story. It's about a lion and some mice, okay? And it's basically about true friends. And we end up with a friend in need is a friend indeed, okay? The students have to discuss what this means. And then they have to write a short paragraph about how they can be a good friend. So let's imagine your students are writing this paragraph about how to be a good friend, okay? How would you negotiate the success criteria with your students?
So maybe it could be, you know, how long the short paragraph is, how many words. It could be what kind of language we use.
Good.
So how can you be? So answering that question, maybe some
Yeah.
adjectives, use
Good.
of adjectives. Yeah.
Super. And this is a writing task, but we could equally do it for a speaking task as well. So in this example, the students work together and they look at this photo. They imagine that they go deep sea diving and they discuss what they would find. And with all the words that they kind of generate together, they build a paragraph. Okay. This
Like
could
a
be
story.
verbal, like a story. Yeah. So how again would you negotiate the success criteria with your students?
So story and speaking, it needs to be exciting. It needs to have a really good start and an end. It needs to, like, if they're saying, what did they find? They have to describe what they found and how they found it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Kind
Lovely.
of formatting. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can do this with anything that we teach, an activity that we create ourselves or something from the course book as well. And earlier, Claire, you also mentioned reflection, okay? And this is really, really important that we include this in every lesson that we teach. So imagine the students have planned what they're going to do. They've done it. And now they've got to review it or reflect on it, okay? And we've got different kinds of reflection here. We've got feed up, feedback, and feed forward. Now, what do you think the question is here? Where am I
going?
This is your feed up, right?
Okay.
Good. How am I?
We've got participants typing doing.
Good. That's your feedback. How am I
During.
doing?
And
where
then
to?
we've got now, but I think it's where to next, isn't it?
Exactly. That's your feed forward. Let's have a look at these in some more detail, okay, so that we've got them. And you're going to help me out, you and the participants. So this is from Hattie and Timperley, 2007, okay? Their feed up, feedback, feed forward. I want you to tell me if the description describes feed up, feedback, or feed forward.
Okay.
The first one is this, okay? Very often the answer to this is more tasks, more expectations from the teacher. However, teachers should address this question by giving feedback that leads to greater possibilities in learning. This might be more strategies to complete the task, greater challenges, a deeper understanding, more of a focus on fluency, more information given on what is not understood. What do you think this is?
Is this looking, is it feed? Well, we got feedback, we got feed up. I think it's looking forward though, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is your where to next, right? I've done
After
the task. Yeah, and based on how I did, what do I do next? Is it that I need more of a challenge? Do I need to develop a specific skill? Do I need more information about something, and so on? Okay, what about this? Teachers should communicate and clarify the goals or the purpose to their learners. This ensures goal-directed action therefore an emphasis on performance or the process of learning. These goals need to be appropriately challenging and clear to the students. This also relates to setting up clearly in the classroom. In other words, giving the purpose of the activity before they do it.
Okay, so the feed forward was after the task. This is before the task. So we've got feed up coming through in the chat.
Good. Where am I going? Yeah, feed up. When I do this task, where am I going? Okay. And then, of course, the last one must be, how am I doing? Okay, this is your feedback. So feedback like this is only effective when it consists of information about progress, not just the outcome, but how you've progressed. And it can involve teachers, it can involve your peers, and also yourself as well. And it's really important that feedback is given in regards to the above goals that you established here. Okay, so they're all very, very connected, with a focus on prompting improvement, learning, or development. So it's not giving feedback on a current level or ability, and it's not a test result either. Okay.
It's the process involved in the learning.
Yeah, all right. So feed up is before the task. How am I doing? Feedback can be during the task and after, and where to next is after the task. So Claire, I'm going to show you in the participant some reflection tools. Is it feed up, feedback, feed forward, a bit of all of them? What would you say? This is a self-assessment using emojis.
I think I got this. I need a bit more practice. I'll get there, but I need help. This could be during, it could be after as well, couldn't it? After the task. So feed forward, feedback.
Good.
It could even be before, if you've got the aims and they look at the aims, and then they kind of, like we've done on this webinar as well.
Good. So they could compare the before and after. Well, I think you've given the game away with this confidence thermometer too, because that's what we've been using in this session. So Claire, what about this one?
Yeah, so this again, same. It could be at the beginning and then you keep reflecting. It could be at the end of the task as well.
Good. Lovely. This one's a lovely one, 2 stars and a wish. So students have to write 2 things maybe that they learned or that they were proud of or that they enjoyed, and 1 thing that they would like to do differently next time or need help with. What do you think about that one?
So that's reflecting, isn't it? It's in the past tense as well. So it'd be feed forward. Yeah,
good. All right then. This one's a lovely one too, an exit ticket. So to exit the class, of course we can let students leave, but before they leave, they have to write 3 facts from today's lesson, 2 things they found interesting, and 1 question I have for next time. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, so they're looking back, they finished the task and they're reflecting on it. So and then thinking about what they can do. So feed forward.
Good. So feedback and feed forward as well, right? And then this was what you showed me at the beginning of the lesson, the KWLH, what I know, what I want to know, what I learned, and how I learned. We did this at the beginning. We do it again at the end.
So it's feed up and feed forward, isn't it? It's before the task and after the task.
Yes, exactly right. Okay, lovely. Now, I want to end with something for the participants to do, okay? And you can either do this in the Facebook comments or you can do this in the Zoom chat box. So if you don't want to share, that's okay. Just do it in your notebook next to you. This is Driscoll's WHAT model, okay? To reflect on what you've learned about learning to learn strategies today, okay? So the first thing is what? You need to write a maximum of 2 sentences which describe the experience. Okay, for example, at the time I felt, most important thing was, okay. Then you're going to write your so what. This is a maximum of 3 sentences which outline your feelings on the experience and anything you learned from it. I learned that. Now I understand that. And then the final part is, now what? You write a maximum of 4 sentences about what you're going to do as a result of this. So my next steps are, in my next lesson, I'm going to try this. I'd like to learn more about this. Start to write your ideas in the chat box or in the comments. Is there anything coming through, Claire?
Only just not lovely feedback for us, which is amazing session.
Okay.
One of the best sessions I've attended. It's so lovely. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's see what the participants write to us. And of course, you can send us these after the session as well. Okay, so keep working on them. This is something that you can, of course, do with your own students in their classroom. One other thing to say, Claire, about the metacognitive strategies, can they be done in the students' L1?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's not about language learning, it's about reflecting, planning. And so absolutely that can be done in L1.
Okay, fantastic. So what did we do then?
So we explored the importance of sharing aims, success criteria and reflection. So thinking now, everybody, about all of these aims and what we've done in the session. Thank you for your lovely feedback. But for yourself, are you yellow? There's still quite a few gaps. Pink, I'm getting there. I think I might need to watch this again, but I'm definitely getting there and definitely improved. And white, I've got it. I'm going to practice it in class tomorrow. We've got lots of whites coming through, which is great.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay,
So we started
that's
off
very, very
yellow
good
and we
news.
finished white. That's great.
Yeah. Super. Okay, then. So if you want to contact us, of course, you can check out our website, which is www.eltonics.com. You can contact us directly via email at team@eltonics.com. And we also have a Facebook group where teachers from all around the world comment, ask questions, share ideas. And that Facebook group is Eltonics Connects. You are more than welcome to
Please come and join us.
that. Okay, and we'll be having a look at your reflections in the chat box as well. That's it from us. Michelle, do you?
Thank you so much.
Does anyone
Thank
have
you.
questions
Thank you.
for
Yes,
us?
yes. Does anyone have questions? Please post them in the chat box. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to start with. What do you think about very young students? Do you think they're able to reflect, and how could I help them with that?
It's a very common question that we get, Michelle, actually, especially as, you know, English language teachers are teaching younger and younger students, it seems, you know. And we have quite a few in our Facebook group. We have quite a few kindergarten teachers who participate as well. I think very, very young learners can reflect on their learning, even if it's on a sort of emotions level.
Yeah.
So very young learners will be able to tell us as the teacher whether they enjoyed something, whether they were interested, or whether they were bored in their own way. And that is part of the reflection process. And it's about what we do with that then. So we can ask our students if they enjoyed the activity. And if they tell us yes, we can ask some probing questions to find out more. Why? What did you like about it? Would you like to do this again? Or if they didn't like the activity, why not? And to do this in a kind of safe and non-judgmental environment. So I think we can start this with students very, very early, because they are able definitely at a younger age to tell us at least how they feel about something. And then we can develop it from there.
I think what you said about the emojis also works very well with young learners. They can show you their emotions about how they're feeling. We have a question from Vani: how to use these strategies in an inclusive setup? So I think it's combining this session and your next time session, and she's preempting it.
Claire, do you want to answer, or shall I take that one?
You take that one. I'm
all right.
Trying to figure out what inclusive setup means, but if you've got that, go for it.
I guess I'm assuming that you mean by involving all the students, right? And making sure that all the students are able to participate. I think the nature of the design of these lessons, where you've got that planning stage, you've got the doing stage, and you've got the reflection stage, where you are getting the students to think about where they're going, how they're doing, and what next. That is definitely inclusive of all students. I mean, if we think about students with special educational needs or disabilities, that's certainly very, very helpful for them, for those students. And it's also helpful for all students, including neurotypical students as well. So it gives all students a chance to reflect on their own progress. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's not kind of giving them a kind of test result or, you know, an exam score. It's more kind of focused on their own individual progress. So in that way, it is a very inclusive way to teach.
It's extremely personalized, isn't it? And you're going to have that dynamic in the classroom, that there's no right or wrong answer to this. This is all about you and how you learn and how you can get better. So it has that inclusivity around it, for sure.
Yeah, and kind of making sure that we realize that every student develops in different ways and at different times.
Sure,
so I think
sure.
the fact that their voice is prioritized here, how do you feel you did, and why, and where do you go next, and the student tells us that for themselves, kind of really helps with this.
Sure. Thank you. We have some more they relate to the inclusive and in fact relate back to our last time session. It's from Akshim Sethi. What extra efforts can we put for ADHD students? And one more also relating to last time from Abzar Hussain. How can we teach with tactile objects for visually impaired person so that the learning can be fun?
I'll take the question about the ADHD just because I have personal experience of this, as I think you're all aware now. So these strategies are actually what students with ADHD need. They need the safety of knowing what the lesson will look like. So there's nothing unexpected there, which is when you share the aims. They also need to be able to negotiate the success criteria as well, because what looks like success for me might look different for Claire, for example. So we get to have a say in how we're judged in terms of our own success. So all of the strategies are really, you know, kind of they accommodate students with ADHD and other disabilities as well. In terms of visual impairment, I'm not sure how necessarily this connects with metacognition, but perhaps it's in terms of the writing down of how well you did. I mean, that could be done in different ways, right? It could be voice recorded or just verbally reported to the students, making sure that everything that's shown is read out at the same time, so that, you know, visually impaired students are included as well.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Claire, or should I go to the next question?
No, Sarah said it all.
Okay, this is from our Facebook Live from K. Banerjee. How can the reflection happen when the language itself is a barrier to many learners?
Yeah, I think we mentioned this briefly at the end of the session when Sarah asked me, could this be done in the students L1? And it certainly can, because if we look at the difference between cognitive and metacognitive, cognitive is the language that you're learning and all the tasks that we're doing to improve English. But the metacognitive is different. It's not about English, it's about planning and reflecting. And so that can be done in L1. And of course, as soon as the students start to get more confident and better in English, they can then reflect in English as well.
Okay, I think we have a similar question here as well, which talks about non-native speakers. So that's the same thing you spoke about. One more question from Padma. In a large classroom, how can we implement these strategies and techniques and keep track of a student's progress?
Good question. I mean, I think this actually does lend itself to larger classrooms, in that it's very student focused. and it's the students reflecting on their own abilities, and also including peers as well. So getting the students to work together and reflect together and to tell each other why they put this, why they coloured into little saucepans and not 3, etc. And that frees up the teacher to then walk around and monitor and listen and take notes. You've also got strategies like putting things on the wall so that everybody can see, maybe one group doing one particular thing, another group doing something else. I think it does meet kind of group work and allowing the students to do it and freeing up the teacher to then listen and monitor.
Yeah.
Another question I have is, what do I do if my students don't know how to reflect or they don't want to reflect? And this could happen with older learners and university students. I think we dealt with younger ones. Now let's look at older ones.
Yeah, it's an excellent question, because actually, dare I say it, but I was one of those learners. I'm a lifelong language learner, right? And I remember one of my teachers was trying to get me to reflect. This was many years ago, and I really didn't want to do it. I was very resistant as a learner. But I think it's about always explicitly telling students, no matter the age, why you are doing this and why this is important. We don't need to hide that from students. Give them the reason. This is exactly why we're doing it and why this is beneficial to you. And we do need help. We do need to help our students develop these strategies as well. So I think it's about doing them regularly and consistently. If it didn't work in lesson 1, don't give up in lesson 2, keep going. And eventually the students will get more used to it, get more familiar with the techniques that you're using, and show them examples as well. I always used to show my students examples of, for example, a KWLH chart that I'd filled in for myself. So always provide like the first example to help demonstrate what's kind of expected from them. Or even, things like negotiating success criteria. Sometimes I have 2 groups of students of the same level. Say it's a university group and they're doing a presentation. Group 1, this is a completely different class, or class 1 have come up with success criteria. I bring those to class 2 and I say to class 2, do you agree with the success criteria that class 1 wrote? And then there's kind of a negotiation there. So I think it's about making sure you tell them why you're doing it for them, giving examples, being persistent, don't give up on doing it, and making sure that you always kind of demonstrate it to kind of help out, to help them understand what's expected from them.
So I think
modeling good practice. Sorry, go ahead, Claire.
I was going to say it's all interdependent on the task itself. If we learn something, anything, let's say something, we want to know how to learn it and why we're learning it. Then when we're doing it, am I okay? Am I on the right track? And then after it, how did I do? And what do I need to do next to get better? I mean, that's the kind of process we all go through as humans when we learn something. And I think these learning to learn techniques kind of mirror that. And it becomes all part of the whole experience in the classroom.
True. So it becomes the culture. We have 3 people asking the same question. In higher classes, the syllabus completion is the priority. So how do we balance the strategies and the vast syllabus? This is from Shagufta, from Aisha, and from Biplab. They all have the same question.
Okay, so you've got your syllabus in that you have to get it all done by a certain time. Okay, so learning to learn techniques, as I was saying, is all part of that process, isn't it? So it's not an addition to what you're already doing. It's part of what you're doing. So it's all encompassing together. You're talking about how to do something to your students and why you're doing it. Then feedback. How are we going? Are you on the right track? If not, try this. If not, try that. And then, of course, at the end of the class, how do we do? What do we need to do to get a little bit better? It's all part of that lesson. It's not an in addition to.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to necessarily be time consuming either. You know,
Mm.
it's a few minutes to get the students engaging with the aims. It's another few minutes later on to
Yeah.
get them to reflect on those aims. Or it's you know, it's 5 minutes at the end where you have sort of plenary where they get to reflect on what they've learned and where they're going next, which we would do anyway, right? That's part of what we do in our role as teachers, is to kind of facilitate feedback. So I agree, Claire, you know, we don't think of it as an add-on, but it's a key component of what we do. And it doesn't necessarily need to be really, really time consuming.
Yeah.
Also, I think they get used to it and they start doing it. I think in the beginning, you know, you take a little time, but then it just becomes part of your classroom practice. So it doesn't really take additional time. It's just part of how they learn.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's useful to sort of reflect or think about what does a lesson look like without it. You're basically just testing the students. You're constantly testing the students and looking
Yeah.
at the outcome instead of the process of learning.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting kind of thing to think about. What does a classroom look like without these techniques?
Okay, there's Sandeep Jadhav who says, in a class of a variety of learners, reflection is personalized. How can we organize multiple activities based on that?
Multiple.
The reflection, you don't have to have multiple reflection activities I mean, you don't have to give each learner a different reflection activity. You can give them all the same, but what they write or what they contribute will be different. That will be the personalized bit. It allows them to reflect for themselves, but you would be using the same tool for all the students in one of your lessons. We don't recommend using the same reflection tool every time you teach, because that gets a little bit boring. To make it more exciting, you can try out different tools. But in one lesson, you give all of the learners the same reflection tool to kind of work from. It's just that output that would be different.
Yeah.
There's a question from Pooja Thakur, how to apply this with a computer technology class?
I think it goes back to what I was saying a bit before, that whatever you're learning something, yeah? It could be any subject. So the learning to learn techniques is about before planning how we're going to learn it, engaging with how and why we're learning it. Then while we're doing the task, it's about reflecting and maybe working with others while we're doing it, getting some feedback from the teacher and each other. And then after the task, reflecting on what we could have done better, what we did well, etc. So it's anything, and I think we said this in the webinar as well, it's not just English language learning, it's everything inside the classroom and outside the classroom as well.
Thanks, Claire. Vani has a question. Ma'am, we do a lot of thinking routines. However, lots of parents find it useless. All they want is just rote learning wherein they can make them learn at home.
Yeah, I think this is quite common worldwide, in fact. Certainly in my context, that's very true. I mean, again, it's about always sharing why you're doing this. So whenever we implement something that's perceived to be new, or there's a change, there's always going to be some resistance from somewhere, right? But the most important thing is that we're doing it for a good reason, or we're doing it for a well-researched reason. So I think it's about, first of all, getting your students to see the value in it, because they will then, kind of transmit that to the parents, but also making sure that your school, if you're working in a school, values it and communicates why you're doing this, or why all of the teachers in their school are doing this with the teachers, so with the students. So I think it's really about communication. I mean, if there is a lot of backlash, I can't imagine where that might come from. I would still persist in doing it, and getting the students first and foremost to see the value in what what you're doing with them. It doesn't mean that you take away things like more traditional tasks that you might give your students to do at home. If that's part of your context and the way that your students want to learn, then you still give this. These are just things that we include in our lesson to help our students understand where they're at, which is essential. So communication for sure with parents.
Yeah, I think it's worldwide, that rote learning in every country, isn't it? If you think about it, what we want at the end of our schooling is good exam results, unfortunately, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's going to have an impact on the teachers, on the school, and the parents and the students as well. But I think, you know, it goes back to, I'm sorry if I kind of sound like a philosophy student here, but it does go back to that thing where, you know, if I'm going to learn something, I need to know how to do it and why I've done it and how I did. And it's going to have a positive impact rather than a negative impact, I think.
Thank you.